I want to welcome you to this webinar with me, Ewan Jupp, and also my good friend, Paul Turner. So what we're going to show in this quick presentation today is a number of key things that you're going to get out of it. We want to show you how to program your mind to work with you towards hitting your goals. Also sometimes when we plan things in life, we get stopped, we don't move on, we get frustrated, we backpedal, etc. There is a way through all of this stuff, through some of the empowering methods that we will show you today that just break all of these barriers. First of all, we have to ask this question: what is actually stopping you moving forward? Once we know that, we can deal with it and we can move on, as I'm sure you're dying for. So a bit about me. My name is Ewan. I live in this wonderful place called Cornwall. If you see that picture on the slide now, it probably looks like the south of France. Sometimes it can be, but I moved there because the pace of life in the southwest of the UK is a lot slower. It suits me much better. I work from home. That means my time is my own. I do what I want when I want. And some people say to me, you're a lucky guy. I wish I could have that. But I'm always at pains to tell people this doesn't happen simply because I wished it, or it was luck, or something passed on my family. I had to work with intention. I had to get the right people around my life. And I've also, most importantly, had to get my mind around key concepts that have enabled me to create the life that I want. And the life that I had before all of this was quite different. When you think about church, you probably think of a goofy vicar and an irrelevant institution. That wasn't what I was involved in. I was very involved in a sort of a dynamic church environment overseas in the Middle East and also back in the UK in a number of key capacities as a leader, communicating, coaching, mentoring people. It's not really the typical background that most people think of when they think of a business leader, but it's quite different than what I do now. But after a while, I decided to leave. I wanted to do something else with my life. But at 39, you're thinking, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? I've got a certain skill set. Can I really translate into something else? But I knew instinctively I had skills that would be really applicable in other areas. So I thought, and we all need to think this at sometimes, try something different, do something different. So what did I do? I moved to Cambridge, and that was a wonderful location for business. And I began a simple online business, developing websites, technology. I had to learn how to code, design, and program various things. It wasn't such a big deal. I found it quite intuitive, actually. But of course, I needed customers. So I hustled for business. It's a great city for networking in. And over a period of time, with the hard work, with intention, I built a really good business online. Now, what I tried really did turn out for the best. I wasn't sure at the beginning whether I could get it to work, but after a few years, as you can see, it made a good turnover. So I was happy that I was able to answer that question. Can I really do something different with my life with intent and make a decision? Well, yes, I did, but not just once, but a few times. I've also partnered strategically with other people. A friend of mine, where we built a 7-figure plus business, and we wanted to empower people to have something that would give them the tools they needed to work from home to generate a major income or a second income. In fact, this was so successful that you might have heard of a guy called Russell Brunson. Even he was attracted by what I was doing with my partner and came over to speak at one of our conferences, which shows you where the company had got to at that point. Not only that, but during this time, I've had a lot of expertise driving businesses. Some of them are done-for-you businesses where we provide complete solutions that give people financial freedom. Products, services, coaching, all of them combined have been really life-changing for the people that have come into the orbit of the businesses that I have been able to deliver for people. Web technology, which is how I began. And then, of course, to have a successful business, marketing. I even tried laundry. I've had a travel tour business, done affiliate marketing. I teach language. I've had government contracts, personal development niches, just writing a few books, and all sorts of things over this period of 15, 16, 17 years that I've been very successful in. Despite all of the success, one thing that has been a constant, I suppose, that has been the key to my success is listening to the voice of other people. When you want to get somewhere in life, even the most simplistic sense of getting directions to get somewhere, you ask someone who already knows the way. They can get you there, shortcut, or the most effective, safe way. And that's exactly what I did. I've always sought out people that had the resources to get me to the next level in business, in spirituality, in my personal development. Even with all of that, there's still something that I felt internally was locked up, a potential that was not being fulfilled. But the game changer for me, dear friend, was this. I met a guy called Paul Turner, who is now partnering with me in the Livestream Academy, and he introduced me to something called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which he will speak about very shortly. And wow, I mean, wow. We're not just talking success and a sense of fulfillment. It's just an amazing set of tools and resources that have really made me think very differently about the why of my life and how I do my life, despite all the experience. And perhaps, you know, if you've got business experience and success and everything, perhaps you've got to this point in your life, you think, I have arrived. None of us have. I hadn't arrived. And the difference has been this strategic friendship with Paul. And so I want to introduce you to Paul now, who is going to take you on from here and let him explain why what we're sharing today is the difference between good and great, between mediocrity and excellence. Paul.
Thanks for that build up. Nothing to live up to now then. Okay, thanks, Ewan. So like Ewan said, you know, we're friends. We met a few years ago. Both got a love of Cornwall. Neither of us are from here, but if you live in the UK, a lot of people want to come and live down here. I try to make that happen for a long time, as you're going to learn. And you're going to learn what helped me do that. So there I am, look, just in my hoodie on the beach. I'm just a regular guy, people. I'm nothing special at all. I failed all my A-levels, if you're old enough to remember A-levels in the UK, sort of higher level exams and things like that. So look, I used to stack shelves in a supermarket, and I've managed to achieve a certain level, right, of success. And I haven't built $1 million company like Ewan yet, okay, which is one of the reasons why I like to work with people like Ewan, because I'm a user. Okay, that's it sounds bad, but I'm a user, and I want you to be a user too. I want you to let go of your ego like I did, and I just decided to use the tools and resources available to me rather than trying to figure it all out, do it by myself. Okay, like I say, why do you think I work with you? You never want to be the smartest person in the room. You can always learn stuff. So I'm going to share some of my results with you, not to brag, not to boast. What is it they always say? They always say not to impress you, but to impress upon you. From stacking shelves in a supermarket, you know, higher ticket commissions, look, $1,455, top of the leaderboard for a particular online business, right? So not like sales, like belly to belly sales in a shop or anything. You know, number one for the week, number 4 for the month. Bottom left there, you can see $119,000. You probably don't trust me yet, and why should you? But that was actually $124,000 we did in 4 months. And then on the right hand side there, that's a business that I was making $10,000 a month in, plus bonuses. So most people online, or you know, trying to break free, they're trying to access their entrepreneurial spirit to do these kind of things. $10,000 a month, I include that because that is a common figure that a lot of people want to get to. If you say, what do you want to earn? They go, oh, I want to earn $10,000 a month. Also, if you're looking at, you know, gaining customers, look, 370 personally enrolled customers and 23 what's called an IBO, which is an independent business owner. So if you add the two together, what's that? 393. So nearly 400 people that, you know, I've referred using stuff that I learned, but it was the mindset that made the biggest difference. And what I hope to do in this presentation is show you the mindset stuff, right? I'm not going to show you I'm not going to show you directly like a sales page or anything I put together, because that doesn't matter. It's the mindset that makes it work. So here I am as well. If you're into trading, you might have heard of something called funded accounts. And this is actually for $100,000 funded account. So I can go and trade with $100,000 of other people's money. And if you've done trading is hard. The dealing with the losing trades and the mental discipline, that's mindset, isn't it? Really, that's what a lot of it boils down to. What you're going to learn in this presentation has helped me do that. So I can do it. So what? Can I help you? Well, you remember that leaderboard. All of the people with arrows were in my group. So if you look at the top 10 for that month, We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the top 10 were all my group. So hopefully, yes, I can help you. And the great thing about it is when you do help people, you get to do things like, I got a retreat to Dubai and stuff like that, good stuff. Money's one thing, right? Money is great. Money certainly isn't everything, but I see money as like oxygen almost. If you want to live, if people say money isn't everything, I mean, you can be fine, go and be homeless, right? You don't have any mortgage, you don't have any rent to pay. You can go and look in bins for food and you can beg on the streets, and you have no worries, you have no concerns, you're totally free. But that isn't what people mean by freedom. So when people say money isn't everything and so on, they still want a house, they still want a car, they still want to eat, they still want a bed, they still want a roof over their heads, they want all these things, right? So money allows you to do what you want, right? And one of the things I wanted to do was move to Cornwall. 13-year-long dream. Could never make it happen. Then I learned Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP, the stuff I'm going to show you, some of the techniques that I used to get me to Cornwall. So that is my son. And at the time of that picture, he was 33 years old. And ever since he was about 4 or 5, he has been the biggest Batman 66 in particular, Adam West, right? And he just absolutely fell in love with it. So I got, there was a company convention in Las Vegas, and I was going to go to this convention. I was going to fly over, and my son said, "Oh, that's such a shame." And I went, "What is it, son?" Glenn, his name is, and he said, "There's a Batman 66 exhibition in Los Angeles about the same time. It's the only time all of these things are going to be together, as far as we know. They've persuaded people to, give up their personal collection and stuff like that. So it's unlikely to ever happen again. What a shame." Glenn, don't worry about it. This is what happens when you have freedom with money. Contacted the travel agent. We went and we spent 3 days in Los Angeles. I paid for his flight. I paid for his hotel room, paid for him to get into the exhibition. And we just went because we didn't have any time constraints. So we added it on to the event. So we spent 3 days in LA. I think I spent about an hour in there, and he spent I think it was like nearly 5 hours and took like 300 photos. Chance of a lifetime. And that's why I like to have freedom. All right. So we put this together. Anyone looking for freedom, choice, and to take control over their lives, and you're willing to do something about it, because unfortunately money just doesn't fall from the sky. So in the next 60 minutes or so, now we're going to try and keep it as short as we can, but do you know what, I don't apologize if it goes longer, okay? And we will do our best to keep it short, because we know you're busy, but that's one of the excuses that you give yourself, right? Oh, I'm too busy to watch this thing that could potentially change my life like it did for Paul, right? So I'm going to try and keep it short, but at the same time, this is important. If it wasn't important, I wouldn't be doing it. I spent a long time learning NLP. If it's an hour and 10, go with it, please. Right now, some people do some of these naturally. Ewan's obviously built good stuff. He has some of it naturally, right? I have to learn and work this stuff. The good news is with NLP, when you understand it, you can make changes really fast. And, I don't think it's mentioned in this course, so I'll say it now. Even like phobias, somebody with a phobia, we managed to sort that out in 15 minutes, right? They had a phobia, 15 minutes, phobia gone, right? Now, it took me over a year to learn that, to get results for people, right? But that's what we can do. So if you're willing to take some action, we can certainly help you with that, right? Now, if you stay to the end, we will give you a couple of freebies. Ewan's 7 Steps to Online Income. Teach you how to do it. It's a great way to get that financial freedom. And I've got an introduction to neuro-linguistic programming that we'll give you as well. If you stay to the end, we'll tell you how to get that. Right. I'm going to motor through some of the slides. Okay. You can always pause this presentation if you want to linger over one more. I want to get to the really good stuff, but you need to see this stuff as well, right? It all kind of fits to tell a story. At the time this survey was taken, and I would imagine it's worse now because this is actually probably a few years old, but I left it in the slides. 35% of people out there have less than $1,000 in a bank account, right? It worked all right. This works for UK as well. Apparently it's the same sort of numbers, but and then there's 11% of people that have got up to 5,000, 4% up to 10,000, right? So what's that? 35, 45, about half the people watching this have got less than $5,000 to $10,000 in a bank account. What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if you lose your job? What happens if, like, my mortgage, Ewan, has increased literally 11 times in the last 18 months? It's ridiculous. You can't control everything. So does any of this seem familiar to you? Others are doing it. Why can't I? You know, you and your family, you know you're worth more. You're just not kind of getting it. You're working too hard for not enough reward. There just seems to be, I get this all the time. I don't know what it is, Paul. There just seems to be some barrier holding me back. And trust me, this was certainly me. You're listening to this, and I'm sure you've got other pains. I've mentioned a few there. I'm sure you've got your own that you'd like to make a change in, right? So it's not a lack of knowledge, though, is it? How many people watching this, if you're entrepreneurial, maybe, because that tends to be sort of my audience, certainly. How many of you read, say, Think and Grow Rich, for example, and yet you're not rich? And I always use the analogy of losing weight. Look, it's just go on eBay or Amazon and search for lose weight. You will be amazed at the results. Right now, losing weight is actually very easy. You burn more calories than you consume, unless you've got some sort of medical condition, you're going to lose weight. It's just science. It's science, right? And yet there's all these books, there's these pills, these lotions, these potions, and a lot of people still want to lose weight. Something that always fascinated me was, how can two people with the same knowledge, the same resources, the same training, right? Think about school. You had the same teacher, the same homework, the same textbooks. When it came to exams, everybody gets different results. Why? You've got the same stuff. Why doesn't it work for everybody? It's not a lack of knowledge, or everyone would be thin. So how can two people with the same training, opportunities, resources get completely different results, right? If people know how to lose weight, why don't they do it? So we come back to that. What is stopping you? And I actually went and did some training for a company that Ewan knows, actually. And I did things a bit differently. They were all online entrepreneurs, but I did my training mostly on the mindset. And what I did was, I said at the start of the session, it was a whole day I spent with those people. And I said, right, you tell me what's stopping you and I'll make sure I cover it. Now, if you just look down the list there, fear, scared, I'm easily distracted, right? I lack resources. I get overwhelmed, right? I don't know what priorities are. I don't know what my priorities are. I've got a fear of getting it wrong. I'm worried stuff's not going to work, right? Structure. I don't have any structure. Now, some of these are knowledge, right? I don't know where to get traffic. I don't have the budget. I mean, a budget, if you don't have money to spend on ads, well, you do free stuff, right? There's a way around that. But a lot of them are, somebody said, I can't attract anybody. I haven't got the right story or anything. A lot of these are mindset. So I was proven right to teach mostly the mindset stuff, which is good. So the real problem, I'm just going to be frank with you, most people, you're programmed, right? It's not your fault, but you're programmed to blame external circumstances. You're a victim, right? You're a victim of circumstance. Once you learn how your mind works, you're going to realize in this call that if the opportunity is the same and the training is the same, just like at school, right, but people get different results, what's the variable? The variable has to be you. Now, that's quite a hard pill to swallow. It's very scary. I'm going to state it in a very clear, direct way. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for everything that goes on in your life. You can't, that doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. It doesn't mean that good things don't happen. It's up to you how you respond to them. But most people's response to things are, they are a freaking victim. Why? Okay, it's you, but it's not your fault. If you've got children, pause the video. If they're in the room with you, pause the video, send them out the room. Watch this bit later. That guy there, that guy there, you believed in him until about the age of 7. And the reason why kids stop believing in Santa Claus at about age 7, roughly, give or take, is because that's when children start to develop their own mental filters, their own capacity to reason. Up until the age of about 7, you are vulnerable. You are vulnerable to your peers, to your parents, to your teachers, right? You believe in monsters under the bed, right? Now, you get to a certain age where that disappears. You believe in Father Christmas. You get to a certain age where that disappears. But what about when you're hearing your parents talk about money? They were victims too. I mean, my generation, a lot of our parents, and still sort of older ones could still sort of remember growing up in wartime, certainly grandparents, right? Imagine living through that, how that would affect you. And then your children up until the age of 7, they're listening. They're listening. Every time you tell your children, you go there and you be good, you be good. Well, what does if you have to go somewhere and you have to be good when you go somewhere, what does that imply? If you're going to go to visit grandma or granddad and you have to be good when you do that, well, that implies you're bad, doesn't it? So you're basically, every time you say that, you should say continue to be good, right? When you're born, your parents literally wipe your backside for you. They literally do that for you. They feed you, they bathe you, they even make goo-goo faces at you and tell you how wonderful you are. You are the center of the universe. Then you go to school and you're told what to do at school, right? Then you get a job and your boss tells you what to do. So is it any wonder that you grow up and we develop as adults blaming everything else? The boss wants me to do this, right? I have to do this at school. I have to do this homework. My parents won't let me go and play. They want me to go and do this. They want me to, I have to eat these greens. I have to do this, whatever it is. It's totally an inside job. And a lot of the things that I get certainly is making money online. People say, Paul, I want to be my own boss. I'm fed up of working. I want to be my own boss. I go, okay, cool. And then they'll come and they say, well, tell me what to do. And he's like, well, that's not being your own boss, right? But we're programmed to be victims of external stuff. And believe me, used to be me. I used to blame everything and everyone else for my failures. It's not the case. Unfortunately, you can't keep doing that. So again, listen to this slide. This is an important one. There was a point where I used to work for a big blinds company, made-to-measure blinds company, and they wanted that we used to stay in hotels. We used to have to travel the UK, and I used to stay in a hotel 2, maybe 3 nights a week. And then they got to a point where they wanted to save money. So they said, right, no more stopping at hotels. We want you to drive to your area, be at your area for 9 o'clock, and don't leave any earlier than 5, knowing full well that sometimes we had to see our clients in the evening. So they wanted us to see the clients and then drive home. And I put my hand up and I said, yeah, but my area is 3 hours away. Some of it takes me 3 hours to get there. And they went, yeah. So I said, so you want me to leave at 6 to get to there for 9? I might have to be with a client till 8, half 8 at night. And then you want me to spend 3 hours driving home to do it again the next day. Yeah, that's right. That was my breaking point. Some people's breaking point is they lose their job. Some people's breaking point is they have a nervous breakdown. No, I'm going to encourage you not to get to your breaking point. I was unhappy in that job and I wanted to make a change. I didn't take action soon enough. I got to my breaking point and it was hell, right? And I was doing a job. We were working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And I literally still made it happen, but I'd wish I'd started earlier. Don't let that happen to you. I failed for quite a long time. There I am on stage getting rewarded for hitting, certain levels of achievement in a certain company. That was actually in Las Vegas. So fresh from seeing Batman. So we all have excuses. No time is the big one. The amount of times I've had people say to me, I don't have time. And you go and look on their Facebook timeline. They've been to a wedding. They've been out to the cinema. They've been out for a meal. They've been down the pub. You are not short of time. You've got the same time as everybody else because we all get 24 hours, like it or not. Okay. It's what you do. People say to me now, I don't have time. I go, that's terrible. How do you go to the toilet? And they, what do you mean? Oh, you find time to go to the toilet. And, if one of your loved ones was ill or something, you'd find time to visit them in hospital. Money is another one. Again, people tell me they don't have money. One guy told me he didn't have money to spend $100 on something. And I said, okay, yeah, cool. No worries. Then the next day or 2 days later, he's brought a new car. Yeah. How does that work? And, people have musical instruments. They have 2 cars, cable TV, satellite TV, mobile phones, car repairs, whatever. You always find money for the things that you attach value to. Right? You will always find money for things that you attach value to. Very briefly tell you about Jack, and this is what I mean. When people say I don't have time, I don't have money, that isn't Jack, but I got a knock on the door one day. Jack's about probably, 13 years old, maybe 12, 13. Hello, sir, right? And he's got a little notebook, right? And he said, tomorrow I'm coming in your area and I'm washing cars. Would you like me to wash your car? And it was £5, right? He couldn't reach the top of my car. I had to finish it. But when he did it, I said, how did it go? And he said, yeah, I've made £70. You made £70 in a weekend. That is are you going to let a 12, 13-year-old kid outsmart you? We all have excuses, and this is a bitter pill to swallow. This is an exercise I do with people, and some people think this is really horrible of me, but it really brings it home. So when I ask people, why are you doing it? What are you doing it for? Most people will say, oh, I'm doing it for my family. I want to get out of my job so I can spend more time with my kids. I don't want my kids to have to struggle like we did. So imagine just for a minute then there's a time machine, and in the future they invent a time machine, and your family 10, 15, 20 years from now can come back from the future to see you now, and they say, well, I remember you saying, Dad, you were going to do it so we didn't have to struggle like you did, and you've not done it. Why not? I'm just curious. I love you, but what happened? And you say, oh, well, I got busy, I couldn't focus. Go back to those slides. Well, I was just scared of it going wrong. I'm going to ask you a direct question. Are your excuses good enough? Would your family go, oh, okay, then, so yeah, we're struggling because you didn't buy us that house like you wanted to, and we missed out on a lot of our childhood because you didn't have time to spend with us because you got a bit overwhelmed? Yeah, sorry, son. Does it sound like a good enough excuse? I know it can be a harsh thing, but we need to wake you up out the matrix, guys. We need to get you woke. We need to wake you up, right? And that's one of the things that helps really wake people up. So just like Ewan, I have mentorship, okay? And one mentor in particular said, Paul, just be confident. Well, procrastinate. Well, just stop it. Just stop procrastinating. Didn't work. Read all the books, okay? Read all these. I know it's a bit of a blurry image, sorry, but I've read all these. Didn't work, okay? Then enter the world of NLP. Now, when I did NLP, I'd been interested in neuro-linguistic programming for a while. I'd read books on the subject, but my wonderful wife, who's amazing, suggested we go and do a course. Couldn't afford it. It was thousands. We spent a few thousand to go and do it. We learned over a year, 10 weekends with homework in between. And if you don't know what it is, neuro-linguistic programming, it's neuro is the brain, linguistic is the words that we use to ourselves and to others, and programming is obviously how the brain works, how it encodes information, and how we can change that, right, to actually cut out behaviors that aren't serving us and adopt new ones that do. And that is what I used to do this, right? So after struggling for 13 years to come and move to Cornwall, it was a 13-year-long dream. Certainly within 6 months of finishing it was actually 4 months from when we finished the course, but I put 6 because there was a particular lesson that really, really made the difference, right? And it was to do with something called outcomes, right? That I'll touch on. But so within 6 months of doing that particular weekend, we were here, right? We'd made the money, right? We were able to move down. We paid rent in advance for 6 months, on a place, and while we were looking for somewhere to buy. When I say I got into NLP, I really got into NLP. I've got a couple more certificates since then. I'm actually qualified in it. I've done master practitioner. I've got 150 hours documented training. There I am. I train with all women, which is very nice. That's Philip, my tutor. Okay, that's Richard Bandler, the co-creator of NLP. I actually spent a weekend training with him. And guys, if you do get into NLP and you ever get the chance to go and spend a weekend with Richard Bandler, please do. It's amazing. Right, he's a very funny guy, and he just thinks very, very differently. That's Paul McKenna. If you're in the UK, you probably know Paul McKenna, very famous hypnotist. He's also a master practitioner in NLP. That's a chap called Paul Lynch, who's a multiple 7-figure earner. I actually won a competition, not to be there, but I won a competition using the NLP skills that I learned to achieve something in that business. So I spent time with Paul. That's Ray Higdon. If you're into network marketing, you'll know Ray Higdon. It's about as high as you can go. I've lost a bit of weight since then, but spent time with Ray Higdon. That's Melanie Militix, another 7-figure earner. That's Bob Beckett, another multiple 7-figure earner. That's a guy called Robert Hollis. He's made over 50 million online, and I took coaching with him, direct coaching with him, which again was pretty amazing. On top of that, I have invested, I daren't add up how much I've spent on books and courses, not just to learn new stuff, but to reinforce what I know. And now, okay, well, it started really in the last 12 months. I really want to start helping more people achieve what I've achieved, hence teaming up with Ewan. So there I am teaching in the classroom on the right. There I am on stage on the left. and there I am on a panel, being asked to be part of a panel, and those guys are all 7-figure earners as well. Not to brag or boast, but just to let you know, I have to show you this so you know I'm not just talking BS. So when you put mindset and proven methods together, watch out. So what you do is you follow somebody who's got a result you want, and that's why I've shared those pictures with all those people. Right, they have all got results that I want, and I want to get where Ewan was with his multiple 7-figure business, because I'm not there yet. Right, it doesn't matter because I'm financially free, but I want to be there. So the only thing I can't teach you is experience, but I can shortcut it for you if you're willing to listen. Mindset, always mindset first, because just like the diet books, unless you've got the discipline, right, and you can remove what's stopping you, unless you've got the discipline, you're not going to follow the information in the books, are you? So I want to help you unlock what's in those books, all that knowledge, not just weight loss, not just online marketing, whatever it is for you. It might be to get rid of a phobia, it might be to adopt a new habit, whatever it is. What drives you? This is called logical levels. And the bottom one is environment. And people will say for me, for example, I hate my job. Then you go up a level and you look at behavior. Who signed the contract? Who went to the interview for that job? Who applied for that job? And like I said about people being a victim, moan, I hate my job. It's not fair, my boss. Well, who signed the contract? Who went to the interview? Who filled in the application? Well, I did, but I hate my job. Yeah, but you did it. You did it. That was your behavior. Why did you go for that job? Well, I just thought it was something I could do. So your capabilities, right? Your capabilities, what you think your capabilities are, led you to believe you could do that job. You didn't go for a higher job because you didn't think you had the capabilities. Why didn't you think you had the capabilities? Because of values and beliefs. I didn't believe I could do it. Well, I didn't believe I should go and do that job because I don't think people should earn that much money. A lot of people have subconscious beliefs about money. So your values and beliefs led to your capabilities led to your behavior, and your behavior led to your environment, wherever you are. Above all those is identity. Who actually am I? And above that is vision, what I'm a part of. And for a lot of people, that's kind of the more spiritual, religious. If I'm part of the Jewish religion, I identify I'm Jewish. That means, what are my values and beliefs? I don't eat pork. So the higher up we can make a change, the bigger impact it has all the way down. So vision is entirely up to you. Do you identify as a victim, or are you going to start today identifying as somebody who's in control of your life and how you respond to things in your life? Once you change that, your beliefs lead to your attitudes lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results. It's like the shorthand way of saying that. So what holds you back? If you aren't where you want to be, what's stopping you? There's either something missing, okay, something you need to remove. And I used to think if I wanted to be more confident, I needed to go and take a course on being confident. But you already are confident in areas of your life. Might be just brushing your teeth in the morning even. You are confident doing that. So you already have it inside of you to be confident. And what NLP can help you do is take where you're confident in one area of your life, even as ridiculous as brushing your teeth, riding a bike, whatever, but using that confidence and applying it to other things. So in actual fact, what I learned with NLP is a lot of the time, what we spend our time doing is actually stripping away the things that stop you rather than trying to boost you up, because that's hard work. We don't want to work hard. In fact, you were only born with 2 fears. If you pick up a newborn baby and you put it in front of a king cobra snake, very dangerous. But the baby, 9 times out of 10, isn't going to be scared of the snake. It's going to be fascinated by the snake. But if you pick that same baby up and you pretend to drop it, and don't do that, by the way, but it will try and grab. It will try and grab. And also, if your loud noise goes off, it will start crying, because babies are scared of loud noises and fear of falling. That's fundamentally the only 2 fears that you were born with. You know, all the other stuff that you've got, you've learnt that. And Richard Bandler says it's a lot of work to learn this stuff. So what holds you back? A lot of it is baggage, fear, beliefs, self-belief, programming, NLP, programming and assumptions that you make. Some things are not relevant to you anyway. And I have a saying that I use a lot, and it's called stay out the drama. And then we talk about CIA. Can you control it? Yes or no? If you can, go and do it then if you're worried about it. If you can't control it, can you influence it? And if you can influence it, are you doing what you need to do to influence it? And if you're not, if you can't control it, you can't influence it, then all you've got to do is accept it. Once you accept things that you can't change, you see people getting so caught up in politics and isn't it terrible and this.
There's so much bad news out there that people obsess over it. Not only does it spoil their day, but it actually subconsciously affects the way they do life and the outcomes they're going to get from life. So, for me, recently, I've decided I'm not going to read any news, not because I don't want to be informed, but I just know what it does to us internally in terms of how we end up behaving. Much of it we can't control.
Brief story on that. You may have heard of a guy called Wayne Dyer. When he gave talks, he's passed now, sadly, but when he used to give talks, he deliberately wouldn't listen to the news or read a newspaper before the talk. So he was traveling by car and he got to this event. And when he got out, there was a crowd waiting for him. And they've all got, reporters, and they've got mics and things. His fans that were attending, to hear him speak. And they said, "Oh, Mr. Dyer, isn't it terrible? Isn't it terrible?" And he goes, "What? About the space shuttle?" "Sorry, I've not seen the news. I don't know. What do you mean?" "The space shuttle Challenger, it's blown up. Isn't it awful?" And he recounted the story, and he said, "I felt terrible instantly." But he said, I had a realization. The space shuttle blowing up didn't make me feel terrible, because it happened when I was driving and I didn't know about it. And this is what I mean. You see, you can take control. Could Wayne control the space shuttle blowing up? Well, I very much doubt it. Could he influence it? No. So all he's got to do is accept it. And if you start worrying about every starving child in Africa, everybody who's going through a crisis or a problem, what does that do for you and your life? That's your baggage. It sounds harsh, right? But the best way to help other people is to be successful so you can help them. Often what you fear, what holds you back, it's not even real. And one of the things we do, an NLP technique, so there's a nice big picture of a spider, nice up close. Some people watching this, I know, will recoil from the screen. "Oh, there's a horrible spider." So what we do is we say in NLP, "Well, look, are you scared of spiders?" And they say yes. They come to me sometimes with fear of spiders. And I say, "So if you imagine a spider now," and they go, "Oh my God, horrible." And I say, "But I've got good news for you. You're not actually scared of spiders." So our brain takes information in through the only way it can. Seeing, hearing, sensing, smelling, tasting, right? Sensing is feeling. Feelings could be internal feelings, like you feel angry, you feel hot, you feel cold. Could be you put your hand on something, it's rough or it's smooth. Feeling, right? When I say to people, think of the spider, that is what they show in their head. Now, compare that image with this one. Does that have a different impact on you than that one? When people say, "I'm scared of spiders," that is what they're making in their head. And what we do with NLP, we say, make the image smaller, make it black and white, make it a bit blurry, turn it upside down. And then that does not have the same impact at all as the big picture, does it? If you had a picture in your house, Ewan, that you really didn't like, you put a picture up, and you after a few years or whatever, you really didn't like it, you started to really dislike that picture, what would you do?
I'd either cover it up or remove it completely and probably trash it.
Exactly. Humans are unique, because if you watch one of those wildlife programs about wildebeest and a lion stalking wildebeest, the lion will launch itself at the wildebeest, and all the wildebeest start to run because there's a lion out to get them. The lion, unfortunately, catches one of the wildebeest. Watch the videos. What happens? The lion gets Frank, wildebeest Frank, but then all the other wildebeest, they stop and they start grazing again. They don't huddle around going, "Did you hear about Frank? Isn't it terrible? Oh my God, yeah, it's really bad." "Oh, what are we going to do all day?" "Well, we best not eat. We best just mope around." Human beings are the only ones that carry on leaving that picture up on the wall. The reason why nobody gives you the stuff that we're sharing today. So here's a couple of quick exercises for you to kind of show you the things that I mean. Do not, you understand English, right? Do not, under any circumstances, do not, no way, don't think of a blue elephant with wings flying over the Eiffel Tower in France in the moonlight. Just for brevity, let's get through this quick. What shade of blue is your elephant? The only way you can make sense of that sentence is to make a picture of a blue elephant with wings flying over the Eiffel Tower in France in the moonlight. This is why when you say to your young kids below the age of 7, "Don't spill your milk," they have to make a picture of spilling the milk to make sense of what you're telling them to do. "Don't go in the kitchen." They have to make a picture in their head of going into the kitchen to make sense of the sentence, because that is how our brains take in information, and that is how our brains give information back to us. Why is this important? How many times a day do you say to yourself, "Don't screw this up, don't be scared, don't procrastinate, don't lose focus"? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to eat that donut. How many times do you say that? The only way you can make sense of those sentences is to make an image in your head of yourself screwing up, being scared, procrastinating, and doing the action that you say you're not going to do. If I ask 100 people, what do you want? 98 of them will tell me what they don't want. Don't want to be broke anymore, Paul. Yeah, but I didn't ask that. I asked, what do you want? Well, I want, I just don't want to have this step. Well, what do you want? I don't want to be so fat anymore. Well, yeah, but what do you want? You tell me what you don't want. What do you want? And that is how, right there, if you just took a picture of that slide and put it up, this has changed lives, right? If you really take that on board, that can change your life. Now, let's get into why you do things that you don't want to do, really. Really quick exercise. Fold your arms for me. If you look down, you are going to notice that one hand, just like this guy here, one hand is on top of one arm and the other hand is tucked in. All right, now look down at that, and then I want you to do this as fast as you possibly can. Get ready. Get ready. Do it the opposite way. A few people can do it really fast, but I am guessing you found it easy the first time and significantly harder to do it fast the second time. You had to think about it. Why is that? Right? It's because our brains are lazy. It's a survival technique. If I, so our brains, there's a saying, neurons that fire together wire together, right? So our brains make these patterns, just like the cornfield. If you go down the same route again and again and again and again and again, right, you form a pattern just like that. You see the corn's not growing along that path because that's where the people walk along. It will not grow. And so our brains go down the easy path. It's got these pathways for all sorts of things, right? If I said to you, if you get in a situation that will trigger you being anxious, your brain goes down those pathways immediately. Procrastination, fear, ignoring things that can make you successful. It's terrible, right? It really is. If we all flew over to Africa, that you saw a door, you would not think twice about how to open the door. You would just go. It's part of that pattern that's programmed in your head. Oh, it's a door. I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to go and do it. Your brains are lazy. And this is why we get stuck in these patterns of behavior that don't serve us. It's actually hard to learn these things. To go down a new pathway means we have to make a change. Learning can be hard unless you use some NLP techniques to make it easier, right? I love learning personally. I've learned to love it. And the reason why it's important is those pathways, they're subconscious. Your beliefs, your values, your emotions, your habits, your imagination, your intuition. That's 90% of the show. Consciousness is willpower. Willpower works out its points. You spend them, right? It's like money. You spend it. You only have so much. Your analysis, your decisions are all done in the conscious brain. At best, 10%. NLP can tap into this, the representations like the spider, how we can change it. That's one way we deal with phobias, just by doing that sort of stuff. Those pathways, we can change them, right? That's what we do. This is the bit we're aware of, and we think that is everything. The conscious 10% we think is everything. It is not. You are fighting a losing battle, just like the tip of the iceberg. No such thing as failure, only results. So many people, oh, I failed, and they feel terrible about it, and it stops them taking positive action. Anything can be accomplished if the task is broken down into small enough steps. We spend time on that in the outcome model, and that is one of the things that got me to Cornwall. Modeling successful performance leads to excellence. If you've got the same resources as somebody else, and you could learn how they think and how they process the information to achieve a result, if you do similar actions to somebody who's got the result you want, you're going to get similar results. There's always variables, can't say 100% exactly the same, but most people will try and copy the behavior without trying to copy what goes on in that person's head. My tutor worked with Olympic marksmen to, help improve their aim, for example. Very interesting what he told us about how that person would look at the target and decide where to aim and where to shoot. Very interesting. Everyone else is trying to copy the behavior. It doesn't work. All of the resources we need are available to us, or we can create them. Now, just think for a minute. If you have a computer, a phone, if you have a phone, right? If you have a phone that you can connect to the internet, you have infinitely more information available to you than the President of the United States in the 1970s, even the 80s. You have immensely more results available to you than all the world leaders up until maybe the 1990s put together. in your hand, in your pocket. The person with the most flexibility in a system has the most control. Most of us don't want to be flexible. We want our voice to be heard and we want it done our way. And do you know what? If you just give a bit of that up, you have more flexibility, you get more control. If you truly want to understand, act. Yes, yes, yes. Big one for me. Take action. Always, always take action. If what you're doing now isn't giving you the result you want, do anything else. So what does NLP actually do? It helps with removing those fears. It helps increase your motivation. It can end your procrastination. It definitely helps you achieve your goals, and it can help you be successful. After all, worked for me. So what does NLP do? Well, what we do is we start with a sat-nav idea, right? What does a satellite navigation system need to get you where you want to be? It needs a destination. So it needs to know what do you want, not what you don't want. You don't go to a sat-nav and go, just take me anywhere, but I don't want to be in Birmingham. You have to tell it exactly where you want to go. Sat-nav can't take you there though, can it? What else does it need? It needs to know where you are now. Otherwise it can't work out a route. So what we do is we look in NLP, we'll look at where you are now and where you want to be. And then we can help you get to where you want to be. You know the difference from here to there? What's the difference from here to there? Letter T. T stands for travel. We can help you plan out your journey. If you write out your perfect typical day, I should put the word typical there. If you write out your perfect typical day and you write it out, stated everything in the positive. I'm thin, I'm healthy. I've got $10,000 a month coming in, whatever. Has to be something in your control. Yeah. The moon turned purple tonight. You know, you can't control that. Has to be compelling. I used to work to pay the bills. I can't tell you how many pieces of paper over the years I probably had. I need to make £2,000 a month to cover my bills and be okay. How can I make £2,000 a month? When I increased when my aim, my target, my goals got bigger, it happened like I say, in those 6 months really. Within 4 months, I'd moved to Cornwall. It was just amazing. Your brain takes in information through the senses. Why do we think, right, writing words out is going to help us? It has to be sensory based. You have to include sensory based. What am I going to see? What am I going to hear? What am I going to feel? And it has to be sequenced in chunks, little steps that you can feel good about. I was talking to somebody earlier about something called the nucleus accumbens. If you want to learn more from us, you'll learn about that. But it's scientific reasons why people don't hit their goals and what you can do about it. And part of the answer, a big part of the answer, is breaking any big goal down into small goals. At least you can tick off as you go. And nucleus accumbens is the part of the brain that deals with the work you're putting in, the rewards you're getting out of it. So that's why people love to tick things off. It feeds that part of your brain. You need to put it in context. Sometimes people are like, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, what would happen if you're a millionaire? Would you live in the same house? No, God, no, I'd move. So you'd lose your neighbours. You get on with your neighbours? Oh, actually, yeah, they're really good. What about your kids? Well, would they go to the same school? So they'd lose all their friends. Okay, yeah, things like that. Resources built in. I'm a resource, use me. Ewan's a resource, use him. Anything you can get that is going to help you get where you want to be. It sounds bad when you say resources, use things. It's not. It's just things that are going to help you get where you want to be. External resources, knowledge. Internal, well, external in a book, internal once you've learnt it. Confidence, motivation, they're internal resources. A course, external. You need some external, you need some internal. We'll help you work out what that is with NLP. What do you gain? What do you lose? Anything can be accomplished if the task is broken down into small enough steps, just like baking a cake. It has to be done in the right order, though. A lot of people miss that. You can't bake a cake, leave the eggs out, and then at the end go, I'm going to put the eggs back in. You remember, if you truly want to understand, act. If you are not where you want to be now, something or someone is stopping you, and that someone is you. Something is different. Someone is always you. Modeling successful performance leads to excellence. So if you're hungry for more, I will always talk about how great NLP is. It's not me saying how great I am. This is just stuff that I've learned, I've practiced, I've got experience, I've put hours into studying, yes, but NLP is NLP, right? There's countless places you can go and learn NLP. I just didn't want to teach kind of NLP. I want it to help make a difference in people's lives. So what we put together, I did this course when I was white hot, as it were, energy from doing my master practitioner. I'm a qualified trainer as well. I've got a couple of other qualifications, but I'm a master NLP practitioner. This course that we're offering you now, a fraction of the cost that I've learned, I've paid to learn all this stuff and invested in. You're going to learn how your brain works. You're going to learn goal setting, number one, and number two, vastly increase your goal hitting rate. I call it. It's probably bad English, but it works. How to get motivated, how to beat procrastination, turn failure to success. Each one of these, there's 10 modules, and each one of them has more than one video or more than one section in there, all broken down into nice sequential steps that will take you from what's stopping you to, wow, look how far I've come. If you want to fast track it, right, and you want to get me and Ewan to help you, right, and you see the value in that, then what we've got this 2-to-1 idea, fast track coaching. A lot of people, it seems to me, more and more, they just want to get it done, right? And they're willing to invest in themselves just to get it done. Because certainly in the field of trading or in online business, any investment you make can be swiftly sort of got back, and often several times over. My NLP tutor lied to me. He said at the start of the course, he asked us what we all wanted, and I was there mostly for business. And he lied to me. He said, I'd double my income. I tripled my income. So even though we couldn't really afford the course at the time, do you think I'm happy I did it? Oh, yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so glad I did. It's paid off like hundreds of thousands of pounds over. So the process, just in a nutshell, we appreciate everyone's different. So we didn't want to be like cookie cutter. We wanted to personalize it. Symptoms, causes, outcomes, resources, effects. You tell us where you are now, just like the sat nav. We need to know where you are now. We need to know what's caused it. We need to know why aren't you where you want to be. We need to know where you want to go with the outcomes. Then we can work out together what you need to help get you there. Some of it is going to be maybe an NLP technique. Some of it is maybe a chat with Ewan about some experience and knowledge that he's got. Some of it might be, oh yeah, you need to watch this video or whatever. Okay, it might be some knowledge. It might be some direct input. And then we're going to work on the effects to ensure maximum lasting impact. There's no point me helping you deal with a phobia of public speaking or something. And Ewan's he has fantastic courses on that. There's no point in us doing it if it's only going to last for 10 minutes. And when you leave the room, you're back to square one. So we're going to make sure the effects take hold. Ewan, do you think we delivered on our promise, that promise we made?
I think you've been very clear, Paul. It's been excellent. And I think no one is in any doubt about what they need to get from where they are now to where they want or need to be. Good job.
If you are in doubt and you need to reach out to us, reach out, because like I said, I did this over a year, guys, so I could do it quicker for you. There's only so much I can do in an hour, and I wish I could make you realize how much more there is on the other side of this. I think we delivered on our promise. Free gifts. If you got to the end and you want the free gifts, there you go. Take a screen. I'm going to move on. Take a screen grab, write it down real quick, d99.io/hacks. Get the free gifts if you just want the free gifts. However, I think we've shared techniques, well, I know I have, that unlock potential of millions of people globally via NLP. If you're ready for more, okay, you can just leave now with those free gifts. And we're part as friends. Fantastic. And I hope you got value. Number two, you can invest in the course. So like I say, me and my wife, we spent thousands on it. I've invested thousands since going to seminars and meeting those great people and training with Richard Bandler direct and everything. A fraction of the cost if you just want to get the course, kind of what I call the self-study version. But if you're really serious, talk to us. There's a fast track option. Go and invest in that. And we talked about what we do. We look at your symptoms, causes, outcomes, resources you need, and make sure it takes effect. I would love to help you, because I'll be honest with you, there's a thing called psychic income. I get a kick out of it. If you don't believe people want to help, go out on the street, go out in your town, go out in your city and ask 100 people for directions or for the time. And what you'll find is most people, it's inbuilt in humans, in most people anyway, that they want to go and help. I'll be honest with you, I could charge a lot more for what I do. One of the guys I learnt with, master practitioner, charges $15,000 for a session, and we are not anywhere near that. So the course is available, the fast track is available, and there'll be a link below this presentation if you want to go and check those out.
What is a powerful thing you've said, Paul, that's had an impact on me is about this. Are you in control of something? Then do something about it. Can you have an influence on something? Yes, then you can do something. Everything you've shared, everything and where people are now, they have the most active role in taking control, charge of their life, their destiny by doing something today. I'm amazed. I mean, I've learned so much today. Meeting you, what you've introduced via NLP has just absolutely blown my mind. And I realize actually the takeaway for me is I am in control. I'm not a victim. what I want out of life is what I'm going to decide for by taking actions. And I'm just hoping that other people who have been on this webinar today are left in the same sort of frame of mind. They're leaving their past behind, and perhaps I'm a victim of circumstance or anything. I can't change anything. Yes, we can. Today, right now, we can decide for change and to take control and do something with our life.
So listen, guys, I really hope you got something valuable out of this, and I really hope that you'll take some action and learn the same stuff that I learned. Like I said, there'll be a link around the video. And with that, I'm going to leave you to enjoy your day. And thanks very much for listening to me.
Thanks, everybody. Wishing you a wonderful day. Don't forget, take action.